I think the toxicity has gone because people like yourself realised you got it wrong, and therefore you're, it's no good giggling.
I can't help giggling.
Something unbelievable just happened on James O'Brien's show, and it perfectly captures the Brexit debate years later. A caller named Peter confidently rings in, claiming the toxicity is gone because people like James have supposedly realized they were wrong. But within seconds, that claim starts to unravel. What follows is not a debate. It's a slow, almost painful exposure of contradictions. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.
Peter's in the New Forest. Peter, what would you like to say?
Hi, James.
Hello, mate.
I think what we really need is something like what happened in South Africa with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, in which all sides admit to their errors, their lies and their misjudgments. And you very astutely, as you always did, pointed out what the Brexiteers got wrong. But
yes.
you don't say what the Remainers got wrong. You've consistently said it was going to be a disaster, but it hasn't been a disaster. There has been no Brexit disasters. There's been pinch points, there's been difficulties. But using language
4% of GDP for the foreseeable future is a disaster.
That was a projection.
That's Goldman Sachs, mate. That's the projection that Rishi Sunak used to use to be a hedge fund. To be a hedge fund manager.
That's a projection, and it hasn't happened.
Well, it has happened.
No, it hasn't. Goldman Sachs have been pulled up for wrong predictions in the past. Can I just give you some of the untruths that were predicted by the Remainers?
Are you here to demonstrate that the toxicity hasn't gone away, and that people like you, despite winning, are still bitter about things that were said by the other side 10 years ago?
I'm not bitter at all. I'm trying to explain why I think the toxicity has gone because people like yourself realised you got it wrong, and therefore you're it's no good giggling.
I can't help giggling. Giggling's allowed.
Well,
Come on, giggling's allowed. Right. If people say funny things, we're allowed to giggle.
All right, you are. Well,
so what did I get wrong?
Let me tell you some funny things that were said.
No, tell me what I got wrong.
Yeah, well, I think you can either agree with these. I think you agreed with all of these. I don't listen to.
No, tell me what I got wrong.
George Osborne said house prices would fall.
Tell me what I got wrong.
I think you repeated that at the time.
I can assure you that I didn't. I was working for the BBC at the time, so I was scrupulously impartial. But what did I get wrong personally?
I'm talking. No, don't. You always do this. I'm talking about the Remainers.
You literally just said you realise you've got everything wrong, and that's why the toxicity is diminishing. I'm perfectly entitled to respond by saying, "What did I get wrong, Peter?"
About the Remainers.
What did I get wrong?
Well, I'll tell you two huge mistakes you made on your show. You said that the four freedoms were indivisible and that we would not get tariff-free trade.
No, frictionless trade.
No, you said tariff-free trade.
Frictionless trade, Peter.
No, you were wrong. You said tariff-free trade. And I've asked your producer to go back because you didn't expect...
Frictionless trade. And there are tariffs. There are tariffs in place.
It's on services. It's largely tariff-free.
Try and import a crate of tomatoes from France. Peter, what I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to channel Emily Maitlis. And I'm going to say, are there tariffs or are there costs attached to importing things? Peter, you must let me speak.
No, you must let me speak.
I'm not allowed to giggle, and now I'm not allowed to speak. So the question is very simple.
You're not allowing me to speak.
Peter, I have to ask you a question before you can answer it.
No, you said we've got a degree.
Does it cost more to import goods?
You said
Peter,
we would get tariffs.
You can keep talking over me, but everyone can hear that you're not answering the question. Okay.
Yeah, you're not answering my question because you haven't allowed me to make my case.
£9.6 billion worth.
I'll answer your question.
Okay.
Just let me tell you some of the lies that the Remainers said, right?
No, because that's not what the phone-in is. The phone-in's not that. I want you to answer the question of whether or not...
Yeah, I've answered it, and now I'm going to go
What was your answer?
My answer was, you said that the four freedoms were indivisible,
which is true.
And we would not.
That's in the Charter of the European Union,
Peter.
Not
get any tariff.
Frictionless trade.
Tariff-free trade.
Frictionless trade. So now the question then becomes: are there now, Peter, mate? I thought you were here to tell me the toxicity had diminished.
Yeah, I have. And
you're sounding well toxic, mate.
Because you won't allow me to get to.
No, I won't allow you to avoid the question. I won't allow you to avoid the question.
No, you won't allow me to speak. You do this all the time.
No, I don't. I insist that people answer the question. Are you going to answer the question? Are you going to answer the question?
The CBI, I've answered the question. And now I'm asking you to move on. The CBI, sponsored by Price Waterhouse, and you repeated this afterwards, said that unemployment would reach.
I think we can all agree I'm never going to be Emily Maitlis, am I?
So Peter comes in sounding calm, almost reflective, like he's about to offer some balanced, thoughtful perspective on Brexit. He even suggests something resembling a national healing process, comparing it to reconciliation efforts, implying both sides should admit their mistakes. Sounds reasonable at first. But then the shift happens. He zeroes in on James O'Brien, insisting that commentators like him got everything wrong, especially predictions that Brexit would bring economic damage. According to Peter, there's been no disaster, just minor difficulties. And that's where things start to fall apart. Because James doesn't take the bait. He doesn't rant. He doesn't interrupt with emotion. Instead, he does something far more effective. He asks one simple question. What exactly did I get wrong? And suddenly Peter struggles. He tries to bring up figures, mentions projections, even drags in institutions like Goldman Sachs. But nothing sticks. Every time he's pressed for specifics, the argument slips through his fingers. This is where the illusion cracks. The confidence fades. And what began as a bold claim that Brexit fears were exaggerated starts collapsing under the weight of one basic demand: clarity. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more real talks.